in the last few weeks, my face is very red. Is this rosacea? What is the reason? Is it connected to gut health? Well, certainly the, you could Google pictures of rosacea and see if your redness looks like a rosacea rash. Um, if if you could look at those Google pictures of rosacea, and it goes, oh my gosh, that's exactly what it looks like. Then you know that it's H. pylori. So H. pylori is the cause of rosacea. And there could be other reasons for a red face that isn't H. pylori, because it isn't rosacea. So getting a proper diagnosis would be in order. So if you don't feel comfortable going to Google and looking at pictures, then getting into a practitioner that could identify rosacea, maybe going to a dermatologist would be in order. But if it is rosacea, then it is H. pylori. Is that a gut issue? Well, yes and no. I mean, H. pylori starts in the gut, but it doesn't necessarily stay in the gut. Again, that's the problem with doing a test for H. pylori. You got, three main ways to test for H. pylori. You could do the urea breath test. That will be positive if you have H. pylori elevated in the stomach, maybe in the first part of the esophagus, or first part of the duodenum. But if it's not elevated in the stomach anymore, and it's elevated in the intestinal tract, then a stool sample testing for H. pylori would show positive. If it's not elevated in the stomach anymore, not elevated in the intestinal tract, then the urea breath test and the stool sample may be negative. The other test is the blood antibody test. But that's kind of useless because that will be elevated. That's typically just an IgG test. I don't think they have an IgM test for H. pylori. I haven't seen that. Maybe they do now. So that's just going to test past exposure. Unless it's super high elevated, then that can give you clues of current exposure. So you have to look at other factors as well. If you had a history of H. pylori, then the knowledge that the fact that it could very well and very most commonly will go systemic and affect other parts of the body. The skin is very common, hence rosacea being caused by H. pylori, but it can cause other skin rashes. I had patients where they had this weird rash all the way down just their left arm. It was a weird case. I didn't know what it was when I looked at it. Certainly didn't look anything like rosacea. Didn't have it at all on their neck or face. Tested them, and it was rosacea. And it was not rosacea, it was H. pylori. And we treated for H. pylori. Literally, their rash went away in a few days, just by going on high-dose berberine and garlic and the things that you would do for H. pylori. But if you have systemic H. pylori, then you just have to assume that it's affecting your endothelial cells, and that's the worst case scenario. So, I mean, of course, worst case scenario would be H. pylori causing cancer, but H. pylori does cause cancer. It's the number one cause of stomach cancer. It's a common cause of prostate cancer and other cancers as well. But it is one of the most common cause of endothelial disorder. So causing damage and inflammation to the lining of your arteries. And of course, we all want to get rid of cancer, but we don't want to die of heart disease while we're waiting, trying to get rid of cancer. So I'm of the firm belief that everybody should treat themselves as if they have H. pylori, at least in a pulse method, meaning that, like, I'll take our para clear, which is a great H. pylori killer because it's got what's it got in it? I have it here right on my desk because I take it. It's got different parasite things like black walnut, and oregano. Oregano is actually good for H. pylori. Wormwood. Clove, garlic is really good. Clove is really good for liver um, parasites, liver flukes. Garlic powder, which is really good for all parasites, good for cancer, good for your heart, and good for killing H. pylori. And it's got slippery elm bark, which is really good to help heal your gut. It's got Cascara sagrada, which is good for your gut. Violet golden seal, which is good for H. pylori. Grapefruit seed extract, which is good for H. pylori, also good for multiple other parasites. Barberry root, which is good for H. pylori, and a source of berberine. So I take that, not daily, but regularly, and I also take berberine uh, very regularly. So those are my favorite things for H. pylori. And I think everybody should be knowledgeable about H. pylori. That's why I tell people to read the blog post on Helicobacter pylori and things to do to deal with it and follow those steps. I think everybody needs to address that, whether you have cancer or not, because it is just so prevalent. And I don't want you as a cancer patient to have a heart attack. It's, it's easy to be mono-minded, single-minded on our focus of treating cancer, and we have other comorbidities that could, cause us ill health. So we have to be reminded about that.